I still remember the cheers and the screaming. When we finally produced an active wormhole, the crowd went wild. The entire room flashed with bright blue light, and the large machine before me roared to life. After a few minutes, we were given the order to send in the probe. Our techs finished the prep and we sent it through. Once the probe had successfully made it through, the footage we got back was, well, promising. Oxygen and CO2 levels were fair, the flora was alien, as expected, but no fauna was visible on the feed of what we could see. We used the probe to recon the immediate entrance of the wormhole, then moved out further, encompassing a 5-mile radius. While this was happening, we sent out more advanced probes, worker variants, to set up an away camp in which a team of 6 people could safely habitate. This camp would be their home for roughly 6 months, with drones coming in regularly to drop off supplies, bring back any necessary data, etc. What data was brought back was interesting to look through, to say the least. We knew in the back of our minds that the mountain of information for us to review was only the tip of the iceberg. This was an entirely alien world, and it was ours to pick and explore. Really, everything seemed like it fell into place. As if the world itself had just appeared from out of existence solely for the purpose of us to learn about it. And here I was, sitting inside a clean control room, with plenty of security, safeties, and people around me, to ensure that I was within a safe environment. God only knows how far away they were from Earth. Or hell, they could be in another dimension entirely. And there they were, 6 nameless individuals sifting, sampling, and breathing that strange new world. As the 6-month window reached the final day, the away team was brought home. On the return date, we had to follow specific procedure, so when they finally came back, they were greeted by an empty room. A hazmat team, then they were immediately put into isolation. The length thereof would be equal to the time they spent off-world. I and a few others were tasked with monitoring them during their 6-month isolation. Everything seemed normal, despite the fact the isolation pods had no mics, so all of our feeds were akin to a silent film. From that point forward, it was business as usual. We analyzed the data, monitored the away team, and bonded and celebrated our finds. Once the time was up, the pod was opened up, and they were allowed to go home. It was a short while before I returned from a months-long vacation and was approached by one of my superiors. The preceding conversation was regarding the away team, which we had let out about a month before. After we had released them, the team was to be softly monitored in case anything may have slipped past isolation. To say the least, their movements have been odd. One of them picked up their kid from school, after which they were parked there for an hour. One visited a shopping mall multiple times throughout the month, at least once per day, and would remain there for exactly 2 hours. And lastly, another was found driving the roads of his local town and city for exactly 4 hours a day. Never stopping, just constantly driving. As he talked, their behavior only got more strange. I nodded in agreement that something was definitely off, but I didn't really put too much thought into it. Perhaps it was just an odd side effect of being isolated for 6 months. They simply just wanted to be around more people and more familiar things. I got together with my colleagues and a few agents and mapped out their travels. Their regular movements remained as they were for about a week or so, then they took a sharp turn. Suddenly we had a kid missing from school and several other family members missing from work with no communications between friends or relations. Everything just stopped. The next day, agents were deployed to their houses under the guise of a welfare check. What we found was too close to disconcerting. Unfortunately, I cannot go into detail of what it was. The day after was when everything fell into place. I was in the control room with several colleagues when the machine suddenly turned on. And this included an active incoming wormhole. I jumped out of my seat and radioed for security to the portal room. As the machine stabilized, I saw a small object fly pathetically through the portal and roll down the ramp. The machine then shut down as quickly as it had woken up, filling the room once again with silence. The object was a fist sized rock wrapped in a piece of notepaper stained with what was presumed to be blood. It was a message. It read, "That wasn't your team." And, ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 14 of Fractured Stories, titled Away Team. I want to thank you, everybody, for stopping by, who gave it a listen and went as far as to this point as to hear this glorious outro with my slightly glorious voice. It's okay, it's all good. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed, hope you found it fun, and I hope you're all doing good, safe, sound, awesome. Give your fur babies a little kiss on the head for me, throw their ball, throw their stick, fill up their food bowl or something, I don't know, take them for a walk. Make sure you're wearing your headphones when listening to this outro. You don't want your cat or your dog or your iguana to hear the W word. But yeah, stay safe, stay awesome. This was your good friend, the Musical Pumpkin, watching over your pumpkin patch. And I will see you on the flip side in the next episode of Fractured Stories. Stay dope.